Okay, think about this for a second. Have you ever, unfriended someone online?
Oh, definitely. Maybe after a disagreement got a bit much.
Exactly. Or maybe you just couldn't take one more perfect vacation picture. Or how about this? Dodging someone in real life, like at work.
You see them coming down the hall, and suddenly you really need to check that spreadsheet.
Right. It feels almost, I don't know, normal now, doesn't it? But let's dig into why.
Well, you shared that Pew Research study, quite a big one, over 10,000 adults.
Yeah, and it pointed to something, well, pretty significant. We're apparently more extremized, more divided than we used to be.
Less willing to compromise, it seems.
And get this, we're increasingly choosing where to live, who we marry, even who our friends are, based on, like, whether they already think like us.
Which really makes you wonder if everyone in your bubble agrees with you.
Are you actually listening to anyone else? Anyone different?
That lack of listening, it seems like a direct result of that polarization you mentioned.
Yeah.
When our circles just become these echo chambers, just bouncing our own views back at us, well, our ability to genuinely engage with different viewpoints, it kind of shrinks, you know?
It's like building walls, not bridges.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
And it's not just these, like, big societal things, is it? Even in just our normal everyday chats.
Yeah.
Doesn't it feel like the balance is off? The talking versus listening.
Yeah, the give and take seems skewed sometimes.
And technology, well, the Pew Research you found touched on that too. It said something like a third of American teens send over 100 messages a day.
100. Wow,
Yeah.
that's a lot of texting.
And they're more likely to text someone than actually, talk face to face.
Right. And while tech connects us in so many ways, it can also, maybe inadvertently, put up barriers to that genuine back and forth.
How so?
Well, texting, social media,
Yep.
you get to craft your words carefully, right? Control the narrative. Live conversation, it's spontaneous, messy sometimes. You need to listen and react in real time.
It really makes you think. There was that piece you included from The Atlantic by a teacher, Paul Barnwell.
Oh, yeah, the high school teacher.
He gave his students a communication project, and he basically realized maybe just having a decent conversation is one of the skills we teach the least.
That's a powerful observation.
And he asked this question, it really stuck with me. Is there a 21st century skill more important than being able to sustain a coherent conversation?
It does stop you in your tracks. In this world of constant pings and notifications and screens mediating everything,
Yeah.
that ability to truly connect person to person through conversation, it feels more vital than ever. Not just for relationships, but for like navigating society,
Yeah.
understanding people who aren't like you.
Okay, so this leads us right into our deep dive today, based on these sources you brought. How do we actually get better at this and having better conversations? We're going to pull some ideas, especially from that TED Talk by Celeste Headley you shared.
She has some really practical advice, yeah. Drawing from her journalism background.
Right. Think of this as like a guide to having conversations that actually work.
Yeah.
Where you don't waste time, you don't get bored, and crucially, you don't accidentally offend someone.
Agrees.
The goal is to unlock those conversations where you walk away feeling, I don't know, genuinely connected, inspired, maybe understood.
That feeling of being truly heard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So where do we start? How do we begin to fix how we talk and listen?
Well, Headley boils it down to 10 main ideas, really, 10 principles. And
Yeah.
the first one, maybe the most fundamental, is be present. Don't multitask.
Okay, let's unpack that. She doesn't just mean putting your phone away, though, right? It's more mental.
Exactly. It's about being fully there in your head, too, not thinking about that argument you had or what's for dinner. Or...
That email you forgot to send. Yeah.
Right. Our minds jump around, but for a real conversation, you need to consciously focus on the person speaking right then and there.
Headley actually says if you can't be present, maybe just bow out politely.
Yeah. Better that than being half in, half out. So the takeaway is real engagement needs your full attention, undivided.
Makes total sense. It's so hard to connect if your brain's off somewhere else. Okay, her second point. I like this one. Don't pontificate.
Yes.
Basically, if you just want to state your opinions with zero interest in what anyone else thinks, maybe start a blog.
Agrees, pretty much. A conversation is an exchange, a two-way street. If you're just delivering a lecture.
It's not a conversation.
Right. Headley says you should go into every conversation assuming you might actually learn something.
That requires a certain humility, doesn't it?
It does. The takeaway is enter with curiosity, be willing to be wrong, or at least be willing to learn.
And she quotes that therapist, M. Scott Peck. saying true listening means setting aside yourself, your opinions.
Exactly, because, as Headley explains it, when people feel accepted, not judged, they tend to open up more. They become less defensive.
You create a safe space for, like, actual communication.
Precisely. It's shifting from trying to be right to trying to understand, like Bill Nye said.
Oh, I love this quote.
Everyone you will ever meet knows something you don't. It's about seeing that potential for learning in everyone.
Okay, number 3. This is super practical.
Hmm.
Use open-ended questions.
Yeah, taking a leaf out of the journalist's handbook here.
Start with who, what, when, where, why, or how.
Because those questions make the other person think and elaborate, right? If you ask, were you scared? You probably just get yes. But if you ask, how did that make you feel? Or what was that like for you?
You get a much richer answer. You get the story.
Exactly. The takeaway is that these questions open the door to deeper understanding.
It puts the focus on their experience, not your assumptions. Okay, next. Go with the flow.
This sounds simple, but it's tricky.
I know I'm guilty of not doing this sometimes. You know, that great point pops into your head.
While the other person is still talking. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you stop listening because you're just waiting to jump in with your brilliant thought or question.
Or you ask something they literally just answered 5 seconds ago.
Agrees. That's a sign you weren't really listening. You were just rehearsing your line. The takeaway: let those thoughts go. Stay with the speaker.
It's hard. You're so caught up in your own head, you miss what they're actually saying. Headley says those thoughts, they'll come and go. Just let them drift by if you want to stay engaged.
Which ties into her next point, number 5. If you don't know something, just say so.
Oh, that's a big one. Especially today, maybe.
Perhaps. She mentions how people on, say, public radio are careful not to overstate their expertise because they know they might be wrong, and it's recorded.
Right.
There's value in admitting you don't have all the answers. Humility. The takeaway, honesty about what you don't know, actually builds trust.
Absolutely. It's okay to say, I don't know. People respect that. Now, number 6 is crucial. Don't equate your experience with theirs.
This is so important. Someone shares something difficult, maybe a loss.
And your first instinct is to jump in with, oh, I know exactly how you feel when my dog died.
Right. But it's not about you. It's not about proving you understand or that you've suffered too.
Every experience is unique, isn't it?
It is. You need to let them have their moment, their story. Headley mentions that Stephen Hawking anecdote, how he was asked about his IQ and basically said people who boast about their IQ are losers. Conversations aren't about one-upping each other. The takeaway: focus on their experience, not yours.
Okay, number 7 is pretty direct. Try not to repeat yourself.
Yeah, it can sound condescending, can it? And honestly, it's usually boring.
I know I sometimes do it, especially if I really want someone to get a point.
We all do, I think. But hammering the same point home often just, well, shuts the conversation down. Trust you made your point, then move on. The takeaway.
Aim for conciseness. Avoid redundancy.
Got it. Number 8 feels a bit unexpected. Stay out of the weeds. Avoid the tiny details.
Right. She argues that people don't usually care about the exact dates, the specific names, all those little facts you might struggle to remember anyway.
So what do they care about? They care about you. About the connection, the feeling, the shared humanity, the main point. Getting lost in minor details can actually break that connection.
So focus on the core message.
Exactly. The takeaway. Prioritize the human connection over getting every single factoid perfect.
Okay, now we're at number 9. And Headley says this one is probably the most important rule of all.
Yes. Listen.
Seems obvious, maybe. So she has those great quotes. Buddha, if your mouth is open, you're not learning.
And Calvin Coolidge. No one ever got fired for listening too much.
So if it's so important, why are we often kind of bad at it?
Well, she suggests a few reasons. First, we often just prefer talking.
Feels like you're in control.
Exactly. You control the topic. You don't have to process stuff you're not interested in. And, it reinforces who you are.
Okay, what else?
Second, we get distracted easily. We speak at, maybe 225 words per minute.
Uh-huh.
But our brains can process closer to 500 words per minute. That leaves a lot of spare mental bandwidth.
So our minds just wander off to fill the gap.
Pretty much. And the third reason, which really hits home for me.
Yeah.
We usually listen to reply, not to understand.
Oof. Yeah, you're just waiting for your turn to talk.
That's the crucial difference. Stephen Covey put it perfectly. Most people do not listen with the intent to understand. They listen with the intent to reply.
Wow.
True listening means consciously trying to grasp their perspective, their feelings, their meaning, not just planning your rebuttal. The takeaway: Shift your goal from replying to understanding.
Powerful. Okay, last one, number 10. Be brief.
Agrees. She uses that fantastic analogy from her sister.
Oh, I love this one too.
A good conversation is like a miniskirt, short enough to retain interest, but long enough to cover the subject.
It's brilliant, isn't it? Concise and memorable. Respecting the other person's time and attention span is key.
Avoid rambling. Don't go off on endless tangents.
Get to the point. Leave space for them. The takeaway. Value brevity.
So, okay, we've gone through all 10 rules,
Yeah.
but when you really look at them, they all kind of point to one central idea, don't they? They really do. It all boils down to be interested in other people, genuinely interested.
And she tells that story about her grandfather, the famous one.
Yeah. People would visit, and afterwards, her mom would reveal something amazing about them. Like, oh, that person, they were a Miss America runner-up. Or the mayor of Sacramento.
Or a Pulitzer winner.
Okay.
Or a Russian ballet dancer.
Right. Just these seemingly ordinary visitors had these incredible hidden stories.
Imagine growing up with that perspective,
Yeah.
that everyone has something fascinating about them.
It taught her, she says, that everyone has something hidden and amazing. And that belief, that curiosity, assuming there's something interesting to find, that's what fuels great conversations.
So it's about keeping your mouth shut sometimes.
Keeping your mind open.
And just being ready to be amazed by people.
Exactly.
That is such a powerful way to think about it. So as we wrap up this deep dive on conversation, what's the one thing you really hope people take away?
I think it's this. Go out there, talk to people. But more than talking, listen to them. Really listen.
With that genuine curiosity.
Yes, be prepared to be surprised. Because in a world where we connect so much through screens, filters, having a real engaging conversation, it's not just a skill, it's like a powerful way to actually connect human to human, to learn, and to find those hidden, amazing things in everyone you meet.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that behind every face, every profile, there's a story,
Yeah.
a unique perspective. And maybe, just maybe, if we all listened a bit more, truly listened, those divides we started with, perhaps they wouldn't feel quite so wide. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.
My pleasure.
What incredible stories are waiting for you just by listening?